Hello, how's it going, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the CFCTALK podcast. Great to be on again. Krasnodar 1, Chelsea 1. Not a result that we wanted and not a result that we would have hoped to get, actually, even after looking at all the chances. But yeah, great game. Great to see the youngsters play. But we're going to discuss that into the podcast. As usual, we're joined by Amart. And as we mentioned last time, Alex is gone on a leave. So he'll be back in a few weeks. And hopefully by the time we play Arsenal. But we've got a guest on tonight as well. Ameya, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing? This is your second time on.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Last time I think it was just both of us, so it's good to be joined by Amart this time around as well.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and I have to say this before we start. We've How long has this gone on for, Amar? I think when we first contacted Ameya, it was
From the last international break, just before the last international break.
so it's finally great to have you on. We've finally figured out a time to record.
Yeah, it's great to be on as well. I think I had a couple of exams that's on me, and then after that, it's finally good to finally be on. Let's get talking.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, let's start with the Krasnodar game. Ameya, your opinions on it? How did you find that game?
Well, I mean, it was exactly how the game was described, wasn't it? Before going into the game, all the spots in the group were decided, so it was basically a dead rubber game for us, and the game lived up to the name which it was given. Right, there was nothing exceptional about it. I think a couple of moments of brilliance. I think the best part of the game obviously was Gilmore, without a shadow of doubt. I think seeing him back on the pitch after a knee injury, I think which he did get. So I think that was excellent watching Gilmore, and it didn't look like he was injured for a while at all. It looked like he'd been training week in week out and getting minutes every day because that's how good he was. Obviously the opposition, with respect to Krasnodar, obviously, but they're not the quality of opposition which we face in the Premier League every week. But I think he put in a really good shift, and I think the last two times Gilmore did excel. He played as the number six in a midfield three, but then this time around he was played as one of the eights, and then he still did a brilliant job. So I think that was definitely the best part about the match. I think Angerin was pretty good as well. Tammy missed a couple of chances, but that's quite normal. All strikers miss chances, so I don't think that's something we've got to dig in deep about. But I think the game on the whole, I think Lampard said, go on lads, have fun, and then that's what they did. But so it wasn't meant to be taken too seriously, I guess. But it's obviously disappointing that we couldn't get the win.
Yeah, I know you said that we shouldn't go into greater detail, and Amar, I'm going to come to you with the review, and we're going to discuss this kind of in detail in a bit, with Tammy Abraham and how football Twitter is now getting reactionary, and people are not liking the fact that Tammy's missing so many chances. But Amar, before we get into that, your reviews on the game?
Yeah, just like Ameya said, I think the game was already the outcome of the game didn't really affect our chances of qualifying. We had already qualified. We had already finished on top of the group, so it didn't really make any difference. So you could tell by the intensity of the players that they were mostly relaxed, apart from a couple of players that we saw excel. And I think this was also an opportunity for some of the players that haven't been playing in the season. Like this was an opportunity to also stake their claim and show Lampard that like they also deserve a place to in the starting lineup. But some of them did, some of them didn't, and then yeah. But like he said, Gilmore was fantastic. I think he was the best player on the pitch, and he did a lot. I was very surprised seeing him in the number eight role, and he did very well. To be fair, like I think one of the issues I had with Gilmore last season, like getting to the just before his injury, I felt like he was out muscled a bit when he was playing as in the number six role. He was out muscled a bit, so like I think the number eight fits him very well. Jorginho was the one doing the most of the hard work and the tracking back and then covering up for the defenders, and Gilmore was given the chance to roam freely. So I think yeah, he excelled the most in that game. But and we'll come to Tammy soon. But I think this was, like I said in the beginning, it was an opportunity for him to actually stake his claim and show Lampard that he deserves to also be considered when it comes to our striking options. So yeah, I think that was it. We got the result. We didn't lose. At least we are still unbeaten, so that's a good thing. So I think we'll take the result as it is and just await the draw.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with both of you. What you go both said. The result didn't really matter, so we weren't fighting for a win, or we weren't going out there making sure that we put up one of the best performances that we should have. But yeah, it's great to give the first team a bit of a rest. Kepa started. We did concede a goal, but um, thankfully, not a lot of hate on Twitter for that, because I think it wasn't even his mistake. Um, a lot of people said even Mendy would have conceded that. So yeah, not a lot of hate towards Kepa on that one, which is good to see as well. But yeah, great game overall. Not the best watching wise, but there will be times when we put out a team like this, and Chelsea will be more than happy with a draw. Um, and yeah, so great game. But yeah, Tammy Abraham, a lot of people are now getting a little bit agitated by him. So many missed chances. Ameya, with the amount of strikers that we've got in the form of Timo Werner, Tammy Abraham, Giroud, there's a lot of competition. So do we see Tammy being our third choice right now? I mean, he did pick up a good run of form in between there, and then now he's back to not being able to convert the chances. So how do we feel about that?
I think the Tammy situation is genuinely being blown out of proportion by especially Chelsea Twitter, because mainly because I don't think he's expected to lead the line at such a young age. I don't see him as the first choice striker, that's for certain. And I think that Giroud is probably excelling, so I think Lampard will probably keep faith in Giroud at the moment, of course. And I think because of our injuries, Timo Werner is being pushed out wide, and he's been playing wide for such a long time now. I think the last game he started as a centre forward was the Southampton game, in which we drew 3-3, if I'm not wrong. So I think that, and with the Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi injury news coming out recently as well, I think Werner's going to start on a winger for in the near future, at least for like a couple of weeks. That's what they say about their injuries to Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi. So at least for a couple of weeks, we're definitely going to see Werner on the wing, and mostly Giroud will start up front alongside them, and Tammy will come off the bench as he always has throughout the course of the season, right? And now with such a difficult period upcoming, I think that there's going to be rotation for sure. So I think Tammy will start a couple of games and Giroud will come off the bench. Giroud will start a couple of games and then Tammy will come off the bench, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to carry on. And you look at the short term, I think Tammy Abraham could take a bit of hits, in the minutes that he's going to play this season. But over the long term, I think Tammy Abraham's definitely going to stay at the club and excel, because I think that Giroud's probably not going to stay beyond this year. That's for certain. I think he was expected to leave in the summer transfer window as well, but then we triggered a 1 year contract extension. So I think that if he does continue to get minutes, I think he could stay beyond January until the summer as well. But I think after that, that's the maximum I see him staying at the club, right? I think beyond that, that's his time at Chelsea done. So I think that Tammy Abraham just has to groom himself to take over. And,
This is quite controversial, to be honest.
I mean, you think about it. I think Tabby Abraham's not that poor, right? He's every striker misses chances. It's just that just because he's from the academy, some set unrealistic expectations for him, and also because he showed that what he can do last year. I think people are expecting a bit too much from him this time around. So I think once Giroud does leave the club, I think Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner could together form the partnership at the club. I think Werner could start through the middle and Abraham off the bench, or in certain games, Abraham could start and then Werner could come off the bench, or Werner out wide. So I think that, quite frankly, the Tammy Abraham slander, it baffles me, if I'm being honest. But I think for the short term, he could be relegated to the third choice striker. But over the long period of time, I think he's definitely going to stay at Chelsea.
So yeah, right now the way it looks like Giroud is the one going to be our number's number one pick, because it looks like Tammy is in a bit of a rut. And even though Werner is doing very well, I think yeah, he's not scoring although, but he's doing a good job. Like he's such a professional that even though he doesn't score, he helps in another way. And he assisted in our last game, even though he wasn't able to score. And he does a lot. I don't think he can be dropped at all. Like Ameya said, he will definitely be playing on the left regularly, especially now that either on the left or the right, because Our game against Leeds, Pulisic was on the left and he was shifted to the right, so we might see more of that. But in terms of Tammy and Giroud, I think Giroud wins it for now because it looks like Tammy isn't really finishing his chances, and I think it's normal for a striker. It's definitely normal for a striker. And the thing about Twitter too is that there were a lot of people that were on Tammy's case last season, especially in the second half of the season when he wasn't delivering as much when we needed them. We had Giroud come in and was scoring the goals and helping us win games. Tammy wasn't really delivering, so that Tammy was often on the bench. So it's like we are seeing that Tammy return. When the season started, he wasn't like that. So it looks like that Tammy is coming back and he's lost his form a bit, but I think he'll regain it. He'll definitely regain it. It's just a little bit, and the competition around him will let him work better. I think that's one advantage we have this season. There's so much competition that it keeps everybody on their toes. So I don't think we'll see Tammy um, maintain this form for um, um, for a long time. He'll definitely come out of the rut. And with Giroud, the issue of Giroud leaving after this year, if his performances continue being the way it is, like him scoring goals, probably he might get another extension. But considering his age, it won't really go that it won't have like he won't get many years. If probably 1 year extension and then maybe that's it. So definitely the future is Werner and Tammy, like Ameya said. So um, Lampard definitely has to find a way to be able to use both Tammy and Werner more because they are our future. They're the ones that are definitely going to strike for us, unless we get probably a different striker to come and help them. But Giroud, I see Giroud staying at least for if he continues like this. I think I see him staying for at least 1 more year before he leaves Chelsea.
Yeah, I think you made a valid point, and you also mentioned that we might be getting a striker, and there's a lot of rumors that's going along. And I'd like to remind everyone that we'll be covering everything from the transfer market starting from the 4th of January until the 4th of February, if I'm not wrong. That's when the transfer window is open. Quite a lot of rumors already coming in. Messi, Haaland is also part of those. Jadon Sancho, of course, as usual. So yeah, a lot of things coming up. But yeah, Declan Rice as well. There's rumors that a few players might be leaving Chelsea to make space for Declan Rice. But yeah, we'll get into depth of that when the transfer window opens. Ameya round of 16 completed. We've got the final 16 teams. Chelsea can play only 8 of them. Who do we want to play firstly?
I think that the teams I'll start off with the teams I definitely like to avoid. I think the first name that comes is Atletico Madrid. I think that's one team which I cannot see. I mean, I think if we can grind out a result, but I don't want to face such a tenacious team right in the round of 16, right? I think so. I think that's one team that I definitely like to avoid. But apart from that, I'm pretty confident against most teams, and it's very rarely that I say this because I'm generally a very cautious sort of person. But I'm pretty confident that we can beat most of the other teams that are mentioned in the other especially the teams that we can play, right? I think we can't play any of the English sides and we can't play Sevilla. So I think the other teams which we can play, I think I'd like to avoid probably Atlanta is one, and Atletico Madrid. But apart from that, I think I'm pretty confident about most teams. I think there's a lot going on Chelsea Twitter right now, especially about Barcelona. But I think I'm kind of confident that we can beat Barcelona. But it's just that they have Messi, right? And you never know when he's going to turn up. So I don't want to risk it. But I'd be pretty content with any team that we draw except Atletico Madrid. And the most favorable draw for us probably would be Porto. I think that's the one team that I'm looking at, which I hope we do draw. No disrespect to Porto, of course, but of the other teams available, I think that's the team that I wouldn't mind facing.
Yeah, I think a lot of debate was happening yesterday, and a lot of people were like, "Who should we need? Who do we want to draw?" And I said, let's see. Barcelona should be an easy win, but then at the same time, they can if they turn up on the day, then Messi's gonna leave you to just pack it and leave as soon as possible. Um, but yeah, I think Barcelona's defense it hasn't been the greatest this Champions League. I think we can beat them. Got a strong team overall. I mean, yeah, they've got Messi, but we've got Reece James, so um, it's almost the same
That's
thing.
a fair point.
It's almost the same thing.
If I may just interject for a second, I think we could face Leipzig as well. That's another team that I would like to avoid personally. I think we can beat them, but just to be on the safer side, I think that's one more team which I hope we can avoid.
Yeah, I think with, with us getting top place now, a lot of Chelsea fans are saying, "Look, we can make it to the round of eight to the and then quarterfinals." Um, and a lot of people are starting to believe that we might even win it if we go through and which I don't think is going to happen at all. But yeah, Amart, who would you like to face in the round of 16?
Yeah, like definitely not Atletico Madrid because in the La Liga they've only considered two goals this season in the whole of the La Liga this season. So they are definitely resilient at the back, and they've not lost any game in the La Liga so far. Barcelona has lost, Madrid has lost, Real Madrid has lost. They've not lost, so there will be a very very difficult team to face. But considering our luck, we are always going to get the most difficult um, um, draw. We usually do get that, even whether we finish first or we finish second. UEFA always finds a way to give us the most difficult draw. But I wouldn't mind playing Lazio because I think Lazio they are not really
Unless
they've not
Drogba
been.
is doing the draw.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Unless Drogba is doing the draw, then we'll get a good pairing. But I think Lazio haven't really been consistent this season, and I wouldn't mind facing them. I think Porto too as well. Wouldn't mind facing them. We usually get them. I think in the past they were irregular. We usually get them in the league, either in the group stage or probably in one of the knockout stages. We usually get Porto and we we often beat them. But yeah, Lazio for me. Barcelona, you never know when they turn up. You never know when they'll turn up. They might face us, and all of a sudden they are the Barcelona of old when Messi starts scoring goals and stuff like that. I don't want to risk it. And Leipzig, probably they will want to prove a point because they've given us Werner. They want to show Werner that they can win without him or something. So yeah, I'm looking at them and I'm seeing that. I think that's the only Lazio or Porto I think will be okay for us. But you never know. You never know. We might be sitting here. Or we might be talking again about it, and then we might be facing Atletico Madrid. So, but we can beat them. We definitely can beat them, but it will be difficult.
Atletico Madrid, we can beat them.
Yeah, we can beat them, but it will be difficult. Like, I mean, the thing is, the thing about Atletico Madrid is that they hardly open up. They hardly open up. By the knockout stage, they don't have any option. They have to open up. They have to open up. They have to open up their defense, and that's when we are also very dangerous because we have a lot of attacking forces. And even though we've solved our defensive issues, we might concede a goal or two, but I feel like we might be able to. We have a better attacking force than Atletico Madrid, but I never know. I'm confident that even if we get them, we'll beat them, but it's not the ideal draw that I want.
Great point made, Amart. To be honest, but like I like the fact that how the hosts of the podcast are so confident. Last week, I think Alex said we can beat Bayern Munich. Tonight, Amart saying we can beat Atletico Madrid, and I'm saying we can win the Champions League. So I'm loving the amount of energy we've got. But yeah, Ameya, how far do you see us going in this year's Champions League? How I think with Amart we've discussed this many times, and as hosts we've done it. But how far do you see Chelsea going?
I think that we could be seen as outside contenders by other teams, but quite frankly, I think that we probably won't win it this year. We always say that, it's sort of like banter on Twitter that, we can go on and win, but I think the chances of that actually happening is quite low, if I'm being honest. I think the only but we're booming with confidence right now, right? So I think that if we can carry on this form, then I can see us being contenders. Surely the only teams that I fear personally are Bayern and to an extent PSG. Those are the only two teams which I think that can comfortably beat Chelsea. But apart from that, you can never predict in the Champions League, right? Especially you look at last season or even before that, right? Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, they keep getting beat by these sort of surprise teams, right? We had Lyon, we had Monaco quite a few years back, and we even had Ajax, right? So I think that these are the sort of teams that you can never predict in the Champions League, and sometimes they just knock out the favorites. So I think that because of that factor alone, I think the unpredictability of it, I think we'll go maybe to the semifinals if I'm being optimistic. I think it depends on the draw of the quarterfinals again, right? Because I think there are quite a few teams that will make it to the quarterfinals which we can beat as well. On the other hand, if we get Bayern once again in the quarterfinals, then we're done for. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it depends on our opposition as well. But I'd be pretty content with a semi-final spot, because this is not the season which we are expected to compete. I think we always seem to forget that this is another transition year for Lampard, and next season is the season where we're going to start actually competing on all fronts. But obviously, with the uncertainty around football at the moment, I think that it could be a good season for us to push on for the Premier League as well as the Champions League. So I think that don't write us off, but I think that I wouldn't be too, it's not mandatory for Lampard to win it as I see it. So I think a semi-final would be good enough for me.
I think, if I can remember 3 months ago when we had a chat, we had almost the same conversation on how this will be another transition year, and at most we would be happy with a domestic trophy and then aim for the Premier League next year and then the Champions League the following year and all. But do you think in the 3 months that we've had such good performances, we're 2 points off top of the table in the Premier League, we're looking strong in the Champions League, maybe not winners, but still semi-finalists at the moment. So do you think us Chelsea fans should expect another trophy coming in, maybe the Premier League?
I think it could be possible. I'm not gonna lie, and we know that Lampard is, obviously he's worked under Mourinho for so long, so he's not gonna put pressure on himself through press conferences. So I think that he's always going to remain cautious about our chances. But I think internally, I'm pretty sure he's going to be thinking like, right, I know we're not expected to win the league, but then we're so close to the top, and I think this could be a really good opportunity, right, for us to bounce ahead of schedule. So I think that we could expect. I think the next few run of games that we have coming could be really important, because all the games that we had until now, I'm not saying they're easy, but they're all right in difficulty. But you look at our next set of fixtures, right? Everton away, I think they started off well, but they've fallen off. And then you've got Wolves away, which is always a tough game. And then we've got the likes of Aston Villa, which is not an easy game. But then Arsenal as well. All right, you can exclude Arsenal from this list, but the other games are quite tough. So I think that at the end of this Christmas period, the busy period that we have right now, I think we could have a clear answer as to whether our squad is ready to compete for the title yet or not. But I think we're going to figure that out soon. And the key point, I think, has to be keeping Thiago Silva fit, because we have noticed that he only manages to play just one game a week. So, and now we've got Premier League games once every 3 days. So I think that could be a really, really interesting thing to keep an eye out for. But I think that overall, I mean, at the beginning, it's not a compulsion to win, but it's not wrong to expect it at the same time. So I think that as long as we're cautious about it, I think I think we could push, hopefully mount a good title race and hopefully finish on top of the table come May, I think, or June, whenever the league is ending.
You put out a very valid point there. When I'm looking at the schedule, I'm seeing Chelsea really don't have a break from playing the top six teams until I would say February almost, because we've got Arsenal, Man City in the gap of 8 days, and then between Man City and Leicester, there's a gap of 10 days, and then between Leicester and Tottenham, there's a gap of 15 days. So we really don't have a lot of gap between playing the top clubs, and then we play Wolves in that span. We play West Ham, which we all know how hard it sometimes does get. Um, but yeah, um, Amart shifting over to the Premier League now, playing Everton. What are the chances of us winning this weekend against them? Looking at their run of form.
Yeah, they haven't. They really haven't been that impressive. They started the league very very well. I think they were one of the few teams that were unbeaten after majority of the big six have lost games and stuff like that. It was a weird. I mean, this season was a weird one when it began because even after four games, the teams at the top were were like teams that were not regularly were not usually supposed to be there or something like that. But I think it's the and I don't want to copy Mourinho's words, but Mourinho used to say that the Premier League gets serious from November onwards, and it's true because from November onwards we've seen like the teams that are now in the top four. We've seen the teams that are falling off. We've seen the teams that are kind of like challenging or they are becoming favorites for the title. So yeah, it's unfortunate because I really picked them as like surprising a lot of people this season, but they've fallen off. And I think one of the reasons why they fell off was the fact that Richarlison was in the squad for some time, and when they lost Richarlison and then they lost James Rodriguez for some time, and then they started losing games, started finding it difficult to win games. But now they both of them are back, so it will be a difficult game to win. Although, but yeah, I think we'll get the job done because I think we just have to worry about Richarlison, not so much Calvert Lewin because I think most of the chances they get are either created by Richarlison or James Rodriguez. So once we're able to take those people and those players out of the team, like what we did to Spurs, we took Son and Kane out of the team, and our rivals were laughing at us.
I think I'm gonna interfere in here, and I'm gonna say I think Tottenham were. I think they weren't ready for scoring goals. Anyways, they were just there for the draw. However much Mourinho said the team wasn't happy, I think they were just there to get a draw.
Yeah, we did a very good job of neutralizing them. They had chances where they could do what they did against Arsenal. They had chances where they could break and hit us on the counter, but we stopped them every time. We had players, we had Kante, Thiago Silva, Zuma stopping them every time. So I think we did a good job of doing of that, and we can do the same thing also to Everton because their main key players are James Rodriguez, Richarlison, and then Calvert-Lewin. And Calvert-Lewin is often fed. And most, if you check Calvert-Lewin's goals, I think his last three goals has been tappings. So he's just in the right place at the right time, and he's fed by either James or he's fed by either Richarlison. So if we are able, it's the truth. So if we are able to take those people, if we would take them out of the team, fine. And I think I'm confident that we'll get a win. I'm not sure we'll get a clean sheet. I think the clean sheet era is coming to an end, but um, we will get the win.
Ameya, do you think the same? Have you has the clean sheet train left Chelsea and then gone to another club now?
I think so. I mean, it depends, right? I think getting the early goal is key. I think if we can get an early goal, then then we can sit back a little bit. But if the other team gets the first goal because of a lapse of concentration from us, for example, the Leeds game, right? They scored within the what I think he scored in the fifth minute or probably even before that. So if something like that does happen, and if we concede early, then I think that puts us in a in a pretty difficult position because we have to take those risks, right? Both our fullbacks push up at the same time to try and score the equalizer and then go on. So I think getting the first goal is going to be key in this game. But I think I agree with Amart. I'm not going to lie. I think that more than marking Calvert Lewin, it's important to cut off service to Calvert Lewin rather than marking him entirely. So I think James and Richarlison, as he mentioned, also I think is Luca Dean back for this game? I'm not quite sure if Dean is back for this game.
So, guys, that's the Everton game. Let's look at the lineup. So of course, anyone gonna start with the goalkeeper because that's a very hard one.
I think Kepa really redeemed himself after the Krasnodar game, in it.
Yeah, I think Mendy for all.
Yeah, Mendy, and no one
Yep,
else.
absolutely. It's got to be Mendy without a doubt.
Back four. I'm gonna go with Reece James. Let's go with Ben Chilwell, Thiago Silva, and Kurt Zuma.
Yeah, I think that's that's the solid back five which we've been using throughout our clean sheet run, if as it were. So I think that we've got to stick to that.
Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Zuma, Thiago Silva, you can't bet against them, and then James and Chilwell, you, the same thing. Like they are the ones that are giving us the results. They are delivering the clean sheets for us, so we can't change them now.
Yeah, I think there's no debate in there. Um, Midfield, Ameya, who are you going
I
for?
think I'd go with Kante, Mount, and Kovacic for this game. I think we there's a good chance we could see Havertz as well, but I'd start Kovacic off and get Havertz off the bench. I think that's what I'd be going for.
Amart, do you agree?
Yeah, I would prefer to see Havertz play in this game, but it looks like he's still recovering. He's still trying to get to his full fitness. He says he's 100% after the Krasnodar game. He said he was 100%, but he didn't play as if he was 100%. You could see he's still holding back. He's still not fully fit. So in this case, probably Kovacic would be the best option in midfield. So I'll also go for Kante, Mount, and Kovacic.
I think we can start Havertz. I mean, we how long is the break? To 3 days. Kai Havertz should be fine with that. I think Kai Havertz can start with Mount and Kante for me. Um, Up top, I'll go with Giroud, Werner, and Pulisic. Ameya.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate about that. I think those are the three best attackers we've had right now, and I think Pulisic didn't feature at all against Krasnodar, so I think he'd be fully fit and raring to go. And I think Werner is always fit; he's always on the run. So I think those are the three that I would pick as well.
Amar, you've got the same one.
Yeah, definitely. Tommy didn't really do himself any favors in the Krasnodar game, so if probably he had scored a hat trick or 4 goals like Giroud, he would definitely be starting against Everton. But yeah, they're definitely going to go with Giroud, Werner, and yeah, Ziyech is still out, so Giroud, Werner, and Pulisic.
Yeah, great and strong lineup against Everton, and then of course Everton's never an easy game, and the way they started the league, this game would have never been easy. Um, but yeah, a win takes us again top spot, I would guess. No, are we playing? Are we the first team playing this week, or are we the last
I
team
think
playing?
Spurs would be playing on Sunday anyway because of the Europa League, but I think that Liverpool's game is probably before ours. Nope, we're playing before Spurs and Liverpool. So yeah, we would go temporarily top.
Yeah, yeah, you're playing before them. You're playing a day before them.
Yep. So another day of another night of being on top of the table, and then of course if either.
Temporary.
But yeah, if Tottenham and Liverpool do lose, we stay top. If one of them loses, we go second place. I would guess. Yeah, second
Yeah.
place. Yeah, quite lot of goal difference. So even if we tie on points, we should be able to go straight up. But I think that covers up the debate for the Everton game, a must-win game for Chelsea. A great run of form, 16 games. Um, Thank you, Maya, for coming on the podcast.
Yep, it was great to be on. I think I was looking forward to this, and great to be on. And hopefully, you guys can call me on again sometime. It's really nice to have a chat with you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I apologize. We've got to cut it short because we're running out of
Yeah,
time.
no worries.
But hopefully next time we'll be on three of the hosts. I think we're gradually getting you
Yeah,
in. First time it was just second time host, and then the third time season three.
yeah,
But no, great to have you on, and hopefully, yeah, next time we'll have you on for a longer time, maybe with someone else, so that we can have a full on debate. I
yep.
think
Sounds great.
it'll be That's it for tonight's podcast, guys. Thank you for listening. If you're on an audio platform, thank you for watching. If you're on the YouTube platform, make sure to subscribe, leave a like rating, add it to your playlist. It really does help us a lot. We've been looking at our stats, and we've just realized people from more than 13 countries have been listening to our podcast, which is always great to hear. Um, as well as the fact that you guys should follow all of our social media pages. We're almost close to hitting 250 on Twitter and TikTok. We're in if and as you remember, I said if we hit 250 on all of our social media platforms, including YouTube, I get to give away a Chelsea shirt. So yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you again. Thank you, Amart, as always, and we'll see you next time.